Greetings, it is I, Susie Q, working with my own state of consciousness. Anyway, so why I created this YouTube channel was really kind of beneficial for me. I started getting it back 6 years ago, and the first video I did was the Kundalini Awakening, and that was part of my ascension experience back in, I don't know, maybe 2015. All of that was happening, and it was pretty profound. And now I've acclimated and aligned with all of the states of consciousness that came through back in 2015. So the first one, like I said, it was a Kundalini Awakening, and I just, for whatever reason, I went with a great guy who does recordings, and so we started accessing some of the states of consciousness that was happening with me back in 2015, and he brought in all the beautiful music and all of this stuff. It was a recording studio. I did two of those recordings, back then. It was like a long time, right? So, but all of that has been helping me throughout the years. And so with some of these things too, these ascension symptoms, some of these things are like showing up and you don't really know what to do. You don't know what the next thing is. What's the next step, when you're going into a Kundalini awakening. So a lot of that has been cleared. It's been a while since it was so crazy at the very beginning, but now it's just kind of like purely aligned with who I am now. Some of the work that I do, so with all my videos, it's like 181 videos, and I want to do more, right? I want more subscribers. I want to do more videos, but I kind of want to just kind of give some guidance about, why did I start doing the video, and why did I have that notion to start accessing through, YouTube's or podcast or whatever. And all of that was the very beginning. And so I've really enjoyed it. So at the very beginning, there was a couple of videos with the YouTube. And it was about ascension, things going on with Kundalini. And there was a couple of other ones too that were early. And then eventually I started going into what we call a podcast. And then eventually I found that once I had the podcast, I would put it back into my YouTube channel, and it's all down there. And a lot of it was really fun and cheeky. And when I first came to Casa Grande in Arizona, I decided to write every morning. I think I did it for maybe 50 days. And I had all the material, and then I woke up real early and I started doing it just when I was in my bed. And I was just, looking at the written material and then getting that beautiful podcast going out. So that was the very beginning of that. So all of this is kind of like these different levels of consciousness when we're ready to understand what else we need to do, or what else do I want to create, or what else do I want to know more about myself. I think I've already kind of vetted that out already, but there's more to it, right? And so here are some of the things that I'm actually working with right now. Sometimes people think I'm just, I'm a writer and I create videos, I create content, I have all these other states of consciousness, but I'm going to give you some examples of some of the work that I do up here in sunny Scottsdale. Some of them were also when I was back in Houston. So I also do the work of Dolores Cannon with quantum healing hypnosis technique. I've got my notes here. I also am working with life waves, and those are stem cell patches that we work with. I'm also an Akashic reader, and I have a lot of my own Akashic records from 2008 to today. So it's all there. Also, I do the videos. So I'm not a great production person. I just go for it, but that videos have been very, very profound in giving people more guidance. I'm also with Logos. That's another kind of group here back in Scottsdale, and I'll be up there maybe once a month, and that's pretty nice. And then Arizona Enlightenment Center is also part of my consciousness. Ontological Studies was back from when I was back in Houston, and that's Linda Starr. I'm also, contributing with Optimal Health Systems, and then also Celebrate Your Life. I'm a staffer up here, and I'm a writer for 16 years. So all of this freaking stuff is really kind of extraordinary. And the more that I kind of look back from all of those states of consciousness. Maybe when I was 4 years old, I started having like different dreams and different experiences, and eventually I was flying when I was about 4 years old. So I really believed that I could fly, but that was in a different state of consciousness during dream state. All of this that I've been working with over the years kind of cracks me up in a way, because it's like I never thought that I would be that person. I was a real estate broker for many years back in Texas. I came up here to Arizona and I got my brokers, and then I thought, I don't want to do it anymore, because I had done it. I think I was probably doing it like for 30 or 35 years, but there was a few of them where I was just, working with an office, not necessarily being a broker at that time. But all of that was kind of like, kind of my vibe. And then all of a sudden, something shifted. My state of consciousness shifted and abruptly, very abruptly. Sometimes when we have things that, we're like doing really good, like you're like kind of going for it, and then you realize, it's not working anymore. Or maybe, some of my family members or some of my friends said, why did you release your brokerage? And back in 2018, the end of 2018, I released it, and I had a few other agents under me, and I just said, I'm done. I'm just done. Right. And so all of these, ways of looking at life, so there's many, many levels of consciousness, many levels of multidimensionality, and other states of dimensional realities. All of this is completely available for each one of us to have a little bit more understanding. Like right now, we're having a lot of experiences with solar flares. I mean, what the heck is that, What I could say about the solar flares right now is that people are having like headaches. They're having kind of frenetic energies, or maybe their technology is not working. All of that with those solar flares that have been, they've probably been here the whole time, right? But I think it's really expanding right now with the solar flares. So I really hope that each one of us can ground, So when I get off this video, I'm gonna get on my sneakers. I'm taking my sneakers and go outside and ground outside in Scottsdale. It's been rainy for a few days, so I'm like happy that there's some blue sky. So all of this that we're working with the stories of our lives, and how did we get there, and what happened, and what was going on at that time. All of that is kind of like a story within my YouTube channel. So you could kind of look at the progression of Susie's beginnings with this 2 recordings, and there's more to it. The podcast are kind of cheeky, but they're very solid, because it was, exactly the right words, the right experience, and the right moment to kind of unleash those podcasts. And then going through some other states of consciousness after the podcast, then I would start doing videos. And I had a friend, and I stayed with a friend for a while, and then I used their RV to do my videos there, and that got really funny. So there's been different levels. When I was beginning to do the recording, it was more serious, and I was really in a different state of consciousness at that time with those 2 pieces. And then, of course, the podcast I was just laying in bed, and writing, and then I would go right into that podcast. And eventually, like I said, I put it back into my YouTube channel. And then I went into just that, like the RV. I always called it the bus, And all of that started because I wanted to have a more way of looking at life, and more pleasure and more fun. At that point, it was super silly, super funny, and super ridiculous, and that was another period of time that was really kind of helping me to uplift my spirit, because I left, Texas, and I was just like, what else do I need to do? So it started to get really, really funny. And overall, since I've been doing this, I've been trying to do more videos each week, and then I'm just kind of looking at now, like, what is the story of Susie? What's Susie's story? It doesn't matter. What's your story? What is your story like? Or what would you like to write about yourself? What would you like to learn more about who you are? And what else do you want to explore going forward? Is there anything that you want to challenge yourself? Or is there any ways that you want to have some sort of level of a healing energy, right? Like really bump it in, like bump it in, bump into that energy with those frequencies of healing. And sometimes we might want to take a look at, like, what about, I've thought about miracles, but I don't really know what it means. What does it mean for me? Well, it could be something, like, some things could be real small and some things could be really big. You could take a walk, in the neighborhood and get a penny, and that might be something that might propel you to find more abundance and miracles and more support with whatever you're seeking right now. And also, definitely, the healing of the body has been a big curiosity for me for a long time. I've had, of course, through our lifetime, right? We have different experiences. And the more that we kind of gain some insights from that, we just kind of start learning and discerning that a lot of the stories of our lives are kind of what we call lessons. And sometimes, a lesson could be an hour and a half lesson, or in my case, it was a 25-year lesson, for me. And I won't get into the details, but I'll just say that lessons come in, and you might think, oh, I did really bad, or, or I could have done something better, or something like that. But all of that, starts kind of going into like a spiraling energy, bringing in the light, breathing in the light, and working with the frequencies and the energies and all of these other experiences that some people can't even conceive at all. So all of this is for each one of us to find exactly right now what you want to do today, or what do you want to do on the next day. So you start kind of accessing and really just blending in with all the beauty and the majesty that you are. You are a precious divine being. You are magnificent and a great, great level of wonderment. And so everything, when we're working with these states of energies and working with, some of the progression, my progression is what we started with this video, and there's going to be more progressions for me going forward. So we'll see you soon, and namaste.